You are Tanjiro. This is your life. You know something is wrong before you even reach the house because the forest is too quiet and the snow beneath your feet feels heavier with every step, as if the mountain itself is trying to slow you down. Your chest tightens with a fear you cannot explain, yet refuse to acknowledge. You tell yourself your family is waiting inside, warm, alive, safe. But the smell reaches you before the door comes into view, and it is not the smell of firewood or food or home. It is blood. So much blood that the cold air tastes metallic and wrong. Your heart begins to pound violently as you break into a run, stumbling through the snow, slipping, catching yourself, panic clawing up your throat because some part of you already knows you are too late. The door is open, swaying slightly in the wind like a mouth left frozen mid-scream. You step inside and the world stops. Your mother lies on the floor, surrounded by dark stains spreading across the wood. Your siblings scattered like broken dolls, their faces pale, eyes empty. The warmth that defined your home replaced by a silence so absolute it feels like sound itself has died here. You try to speak, but nothing comes out. Your mind refusing to process what your eyes are forcing you to see. You fall to your knees beside them, shaking, hands hovering over bodies you are too afraid to touch, because touching would make it real, and reality is something you cannot survive right now. A sound escapes you that does not feel human, raw and broken and full of a pain too large to contain. Time loses meaning as you cling to them, begging, whispering, promising you will fix this somehow, even though you know there is nothing left to fix. Then you hear it. A faint rasp of breath behind you. Hope ignites so violently it hurts. You spin around and see Nezuko collapsed near the doorway, blood covering her but her chest moving. She is alive! She is alive! The thought repeats in your head as you lift her onto your back, ignoring the weight, the pain, the fray. Azing wine slicing through your clothes as you run down the mountain because saving even one person means you still have a reason to keep moving. Your legs tremble, lungs burning, vision blurring with tears you cannot stop. And then her grip tightens around your shoulders, too tight, fingers digging in like claws. Pain explodes as her teeth pierce your flesh and you crash into the snow. Confusion and horror colliding as you look into eyes that are no longer hers. Glowing red, feral, starving, the sister you swore to protect now lunging for your throat. You grab her wrists, struggling not to hurt her even as she tries to tear you apart, pleading her name over and over like it can reach whatever part of her is still human. Tears streaming down her face as if she is trapped inside her own body, watching herself become something monstrous. The snow around you churned into a battlefield of desperation, and then a presence cuts through the chaos. Cold, lethal, absolute. A swordsman stands there with a blade poised to strike her down without hesitation. He tells you to move, but you refuse, because if saving her means dying here, then you will not step aside. Your arms tightening around her even as she thrashes, even as the blade flashes toward her neck, because in that moment, you understand that your life as a normal boy ended the second you opened that door, and everything that comes after will be defined by this choice, to protect the only family you have left, even if it means becoming part of a world filled with demons and hunters and endless blood. Because if you let go now, then the last piece of your humanity dies with her, and you would rather face hell itself than live in a world where you abandoned her. You wake before dawn to the sound of steel splitting the air, and for a moment you don't remember where you are. Only that your body hurts in ways you didn't know were possible. Muscles torn and rebuilt over and over until pain became the only proof you were still alive. The mountain is merciless. The cold cutting through your lungs as you inhale, exhale again and again, because the man who spared Nezuko told you that if you want to protect her, you must become strong enough to face creatures that turned your life into a graveyard overnight. So you run until your legs stop responding. You fall, you crawl, you stand again because stopping means admitting you cannot change what happened, and that is something you refuse to accept. Days blur into months, months into years. Every sunrise, another reminder that somewhere demons are still breathing while your family is not. Your hands blister, split open, heal, split again as you swing the blade thousands of times against the same unmoving target. The sound of wood cracking echoing across the empty mountain like distant thunder. You train until your vision goes black and you collapse into the snow, only to wake up hours later and start again because weakness is no longer something you can afford. The scent of your own blood mixing with the memory of the night, everything was taken from you, driving you forward with a fury you barely recognize as your own. And then the day comes when you are sent into the forest, where those who wish to become demon slayers must survive or die. The trees swallow the light, shadows stretching like claws across the ground, every sound amplified, every movement a potential threat. You realize quickly that this is not a test of skill but of will, because the demons here are not hunting to survive. They are hunting for sport. You feel it before you see it. A presence slithering through the darkness. Patient, amused, as if it has waited years for prey like you to wander into its territory. The creature reemerges slowly, twisted limbs dragging across the forest floor, a grin carved too wide into its face, eyes glowing with the same hunger you saw in Nezuko's that night. It speaks, taunting, savoring your fear, telling you how easily it will tear you apart. How many like you it has devoured, how your bones will join the others scattered beneath the roots of the trees. Your hands shake, but you raise the blade anyway, because running is no longer an option, because this is the moment everything you endured has been building toward. The demon lunges, faster than anything human should be able to move, claws slicing through the air where your throat was an instant before. You react on instinct, breathing in the way you were taught, focusing until the world narrows to a single line between you and it. Water flowing through your veins, through your muscles, into the strike as you move forward instead of back. The blade arcs, clean, precise, severing flesh that dissolves into ash the moment it separates from the body. The demon's expression freezes in disbelief as it collapses, disintegrating into nothing, and you stand there shaking not from fear, but from the realization that you just ended something that would have ended you without hesitation. The forest is silent again, but you know it is not over, that there are more out there. Stronger ones, smarter ones, monsters that will test the limits of your resolve again and again. Yet for the first time since that night on the mountain, you feel something other than grief filling your chest, not relief, not peace, something sharper, a purpose forged in loss because you understand now that your life is no longer your own. It belongs to the fight, to the promise you made when you refused to abandon your sister, even as the world turned against you, and as the sun begins to rise through the trees, you realize that the boy who sold charcoal to support his family is gone, replaced by someone who will walk into darkness again and again. If it means no one else has to stand where you once stood, surrounded by blood and silence, wondering why they were the one left alive. The moment you face a demon who remembers your family, you realize the past is not something you escaped, but something that has been hunting you this entire time. The battlefield is already soaked in blood when you arrive. Bodies of other slayers scattered like fallen leaves, their swords broken, their expressions frozen in shock as if they never even understood what killed them. The air reeks of death and something else, something sweet and rotten that makes your stomach twist because you recognize it as the scent of a creature that has devoured too many humans to count. It steps out of the shadows slowly, smiling, studying you with an unsettling curiosity, as if you are not a threat, but an interesting toy. It speaks your name without being told, describing the night your family died with grotesque detail, savoring every word, every memory you tried to bury, telling you how fragile they were, how easily they broke. Your vision goes red, but your hands remain steady because rage alone will not kill it. This enemy is stronger, faster, older than anything you have faced. Its attacks come like a storm, tearing through the ground, shattering trees, forcing you backward step by step as your body screams from the strain. You breathe, forcing the chaos into rhythm, water becoming flame inside your chest, pain sharpening your focus instead of dulling it. You realize this fight is not just about survival, but about proving that the tragedy that created you will not define how your story ends. The demon lunges again, claws aimed for your heart, and this time you move forward, not away, blade igniting with the heat of a technique you swore you would master. No matter the cost, the strike cuts through the air with a sound like thunder splitting the sky. Slicing cleanly through its neck, the world goes silent as the head separates from the body, its expression shifting from arrogance to something almost human in its final seconds. Confusion, regret, fear, emotions. It abandoned long ago. The body crumbles into ash that scatters on the wind, leaving you standing alone in a clearing filled with ghosts only you can see. Your arms tremble, the adrenaline draining away, leaving exhaustion so deep it feels like drowning. You drop to one knee, gripping the sword to stay upright, because collapsing now would mean admitting how close you came to dying, how thin the line between hunter and victim truly is. Memories flood back uninvited. Your mother's smile, your siblings laughing, Nezuko's hand in yours before the world shattered. And for the first time since that night, you allow yourself to cry. Not from weakness, but from the unbearable weight of carrying all of them with you into every battle. Because every demon you destroy is also a reminder that you cannot bring back the ones you lost. You can only make sure no one else has to feel what you felt. The sun begins to rise, light spilling across the devastation, turning ash into glittering dust that drifts away on the morning wind. And you understand that this is your life now. Not peace, not revenge, but an endless path forward through darkness. Protecting strangers who will never know your name. Fighting monsters that were once human, carrying hope in a world determined to crush it. Because if someone like you can still choose compassion after everything that was taken, then maybe the world has not completely lost its chance to change. You stand, wiping the blood from your blade, eyes steady despite the exhaustion, ready to walk into the next nightmare without hesitation. Because this is the burden you chose the moment you refused to let your sister die in the snow, the moment you decided that even if the world is cruel beyond reason, you will not become cruel with it. You will become the blade that cuts through that cruelty again and again until there is nothing left to threaten the people who still believe tomorrow can be better than today.